Welcome to IAS project. In this video, we will talk about features of Chalcolithic cultures. Mainly, we will talk about agriculture. First, let's look at some of the important Chalcolithic sites in India. The first one is pre-Harappan Chalcolithic cultures. These are mainly found in northwestern part of Indian subcontinent. Then we have Ganeshwar Jodhpura culture. Ganeshwar Jodhpura culture is located in Khetri copper belt, which is in Rajasthan, mainly northern part of Rajasthan. We also have Ahar Banas culture, which developed near Banas Valley and valleys of its tributaries. And this culture is mainly in southeastern part of Rajasthan. If we talk about South India, we have Jorve culture in Maharashtra. In Tapi Valley in Maharashtra, we also have Savalda culture. We also have Chalcolithic cultures mainly in northern part of Vindhyas and also in middle Gangetic Valley, that is in the states of Bihar, Uttar Pradesh and West Bengal. An example of this could be Narhan culture. And we also have Malwa culture in the Malwa region, which is mainly the western part of Madhya Pradesh. So in the coming videos, we will be discussing the basics of all these cultures. So when we talked about Harappan civilization, we called it a civilization. And in some places, we also called it as Harappan culture or Indus Valley culture. So we were using both these words for Indus region. What is the difference between these two? We already talked about what a civilization is and what a culture is. So as per that knowledge, we cannot call Chalcolithic Age as a civilization. We should only call it as a culture. But in the case of Harappa, which was a Bronze Age culture, we can call it as a civilization. Why should we not call Chalcolithic Age as civilization? We should not call Chalcolithic Age as a civilization because Chalcolithic Age cultures were spread across smaller region compared to, let's say, Indus civilization. Moreover, Chalcolithic Age cultures did not invent writing. They were also villages, that is why they lacked urbanization. And the another important factor is that Chalcolithic Age cultures in India did not have proper administration system, which means they did not have a proper government. So all these reasons are very important for calling any culture as a civilization. So if any culture is spread over a large area and it has writing and it has urbanization or cities and it also has a proper government, then we can call such culture as a civilization. For example, Harappan culture is a civilization because it was spread across a large area, it had a script or writing, people in Harappan culture also lived in cities, moreover it had a proper government that was taking care of the Harappan cities. But Chalcolithic culture does not have a script or writing, they did not live in cities and they did not have a proper government. That is why you should not call Chalcolithic Age as a civilization. You should only call Chalcolithic Age as a culture. And many Chalcolithic people had different cultures. The Chalcolithic cultures we just talked about, if you see here, other than the pre-Harappan culture, all these cultures were either contemporary of Harappan culture or they started after the decline of Harappan cities. So other than pre-Harappan Chalcolithic cultures, most of the Chalcolithic cultures were either contemporary of the Harappan Bronze civilization or they started after the decline of Harappan Bronze cities. If we want to know which Chalcolithic cultures came up first and which came up later, then I can give you a simple trick here. Initially, the villages that were existing in the northwestern part of subcontinent, that is in the Balochistan region and in Haryana, started Chalcolithic cultures. And after northwestern Chalcolithic villages, central Indian Chalcolithic villages came up. Central Indian means in Rajasthan, Haryana and in Madhya Pradesh. Then afterwards, Chalcolithic villages came up in eastern India also. Eastern India means Uttar Pradesh, Bihar and West Bengal. At the same time, Chalcolithic villages in southern India also came up. That is why you can break down the timeline of Chalcolithic culture development into three parts. Initially, northwestern villages became Chalcolithic villages, then central Indian villages became Chalcolithic villages, and finally, eastern India and southern India developed Chalcolithic villages. Particularly if we talk about southern India, then in southern India, Neolithic phase immediately transformed into Chalcolithic phase. So most of the time we do not see a difference between Neolithic age and Chalcolithic age in case of South India. We also know that Neolithic age also started very late in South India. Chalcolithic age also started very late in South India. That is why in many places Neolithic age as well as Chalcolithic age are clubbed together. For this reason, we call Chalcolithic age in South India sometimes as Neolithic Chalcolithic culture of South India. So basically, we are clubbing these two ages or these two cultures together. Very important from the point of view of prelims exam. Please note that this is not the case in case of North India, because in North India, Neolithic age was there, and after many years, Chalcolithic age came up, and after many years, Bronze age came up. And similarly, Iron age also came after thousands of years. I hope this is clear. Now let's talk about some of the features of Chalcolithic age. In Chalcolithic age, people started to smelt copper ore. As I told you, smelting is nothing but melting of metal ore. And why do we melt this metal ore? To get metal. And after smelting copper ore, they made copper implements. Since Chalcolithic age is copper stone age, they also used stone tools. Particularly, they also used microliths. And they used these stone tools on a large scale. That is why stone was very important for them. For this reason, Chalcolithic cultures initially grew in hills and river valleys. Because in hills and river valleys, people could easily get stone as well as water. So in case of Indian subcontinent, we have found Chalcolithic settlements almost all over the country except alluvial plains and thickly forested areas. Because both these areas were not suitable for the lifestyle of Chalcolithic people. So Chalcolithic people were smelting copper ore and making copper implements. But copper ore is not easily available everywhere. That is why people started to search for metal ores. And during this search, they traveled long distances. When they traveled long distances, they developed transportation methods as well as communication with other people. So because of this, Chalcolithic villages were not isolated villages. They developed a network of Chalcolithic villages and a network of Chalcolithic cultures. And this is again a very important point, because in the case of Stone Age, there was no network of Stone Age cultures. Stone Age villages were generally not interdependent on each other. But in the case of Chalcolithic villages, they were very much interdependent, because some villages did not have copper ore. They obviously had to trade with other villages for copper ore. So please remember this point. In Chalcolithic age, a network of Chalcolithic villages and a network of Chalcolithic cultures developed. Moreover, Chalcolithic cultures were not urban cultures. These people did not live in cities. They mainly lived in villages. That is why Chalcolithic cultures are basically rural cultures. If you want to differentiate different Chalcolithic cultures in India, you can do that. How will you do that? You mainly do that by studying what food were these Chalcolithic people producing. For example, in case of northern India, Chalcolithic people were producing wheat and barley. In case of South India, people were producing rice. So this way you can differentiate Chalcolithic culture of North India with that of South India. Similarly, different Chalcolithic cultures were making different kinds of pottery. And different Chalcolithic cultures were also following different burial practices. We will learn about pottery and burial practices in our coming videos. Now, let's talk about food production of different Chalcolithic cultures. If we talk about crop cultivation in Chalcolithic cultures, then Chalcolithic people cultivated wheat, barley, rice, bajra, linseed, and several pulses like lentils, black gram, green gram, and grass pea. If we talk about wheat and barley, they were mainly produced in North India as well as Western India. In the case of Southern India and Eastern India, rice was mostly produced. Cotton was also produced. Cotton was mainly produced in northwestern part of India as well as in the black cotton soil of Deccan region, that is in Gujarat and Maharashtra mainly. And in the case of lower Deccan, people were producing ragi, which is also called as finger millet. They were also producing bajra, which is called as pearl millet, and other millets were also being produced in the areas of lower Deccan. In lower Deccan, these crops are produced even today. In case of eastern India, that is in West Bengal and Bihar, we have also found evidence of fish and rice. So both these foods were consumed by Chalcolithic people of Bihar and West Bengal. Please note that fish and rice are very important in the diet of Bengalis even today. If we talk about the type of cultivation or type of agriculture that was practiced in Chalcolithic cultures, then that cultivation was mainly jumming or jum type of cultivation. What is jum type of cultivation? It is basically a type of shifting cultivation where they slash down and burn all the trees. And once all the trees are burned up, that area is cleared, and then that cleared area is used for growing crops. So this is basically slash and burn cultivation, which we also call as jum or jumming. Chalcolithic people did not have the knowledge of plough. Very important from the point of view of prelims exam. And because they did not have knowledge of plough, agriculture was not very easy for them. Because if we talk about black cotton soil of Deccan region, then in this region, without iron plowshare, agriculture cannot be easily practiced. Because what happens is, in black cotton soil, when the soil gets dried, it becomes very hard. And without iron plowshare, you cannot till black cotton soil. And we know that iron plowshare was not invented in Chalcolithic Age. It was not invented even in Bronze Age. Iron plowshare was only invented in Iron Age. That is why we can say that Chalcolithic people did not do agriculture either intensively or extensively. Please tell me in comment section, what do you mean by intensive agriculture and extensive agriculture? This is very important from the point of view of geography as well as economy. So Chalcolithic people did not practice agriculture intensively or extensively means that they were dependent on hunting as well as fishing. If agriculture was not contributing very much to their food, then they had to rely on hunting and fishing. This problem was actually faced by Chalcolithic people living in red soil areas also. Because if rains are not there for a long time, what happens is red soil area also gets dried up. And without tilling red soil area properly with iron plowshare, agriculture is not easy. Agriculture is very easy in alluvial plains. But initially, Chalcolithic people were not living in alluvial plains. Most of the times. There are some exceptions which we will discuss further. But at the start of Chalcolithic period, people were not living in alluvial plains because they needed stone. That is why they were mainly living near river valleys and hilly slopes. So alluvial plains were not of any use to them, although alluvial plains are very good for agriculture. And in alluvial plains, you do not even need iron plowshare. You just sprinkle the seeds and you can get crop. This is why Indus civilization was very much dependent on alluvial plains of Indus River. And most of the food Indus people were eating was actually gotten from alluvial plains of Indus. Hunting and fishing was being done by Indus people. But it was very less compared to Chalcolithic culture people. So Chalcolithic people were dependent on hunting, fishing and animal rearing for their food. However, they also practiced agriculture. If we talk about the crops that were grown by them, then they grew all these crops. So this is about the cultivation of crops that was done by Chalcolithic cultures in India. In the next lecture, we will talk about animal rearing and some other features of Chalcolithic cultures like pottery and artistic works. If you like this video, please subscribe. You can download this presentation from our Telegram channel. The name of the Telegram channel is IAS Project. You can find the link for this channel in the description section below. Thank you.